and welcome once again to Ignite Your Impact. My name is Jen Rhodes. It is a beautiful day in Kansas City. I'm seated next to Matt.
Hello, everyone.
Hello. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Excellent.
Doing good.
Excellent. I would say we'll just address the elephant in the room, this whatever I've done to my eye.
Go check it out on YouTube. It looks great.
I could get an eye patch. That would be sexy.
Yeah.
You do like it, sexy pirate.
Well, if you're not on YouTube, she's got like a blood.
I slept in my contact.
Slept in her contacts, yeah.
Yeah, I'm the worst.
That's all good.
Dr. Honeyman, if you're listening, I'm sorry. I don't do it often, though. Okay. Cat's out of the bag. So if you read today's title of today's episode, you will know that we have the most boring topic ever. Kidding. That's a joke. I like this topic because it's going to make you think deeper about your decision making and how easy it is to win. The title is Winners Don't Get Bored.
Yeah. I remember maybe back 10 years ago when we really started winning in the financial games, our financial game, our gyms were on fire. Excuse me. We'd spent maybe 5 years prior to that running the exact same play over and over and over. We were fine tuning it. We were making mistakes. We were correcting them and moving along. And then after doing that exact same thing, day after day, week after week, month after month, things really started to pop about 10 years ago, and things started to get a little easier. And I remember going to our national conventions for our franchise, and everyone would stop us because, we were crushing it. And everyone would stop us and ask us, how are you doing this? What are you doing? And then what's the secret sauce? And I know numerous times, if you remember this, we'd be on stage and we would get asked that question, what's...
That was here's your award. What are you doing different? We're like,
yeah,
nothing.
Yeah. We would say, our reply is always, we're running the play that the franchise lined out. And I remember when we would tell people this, some people would say, very few would say, well, tell me more. But we had a lot of others that would just kind of look at us in disbelief and say, there's got to be more because I've tried this play and it didn't work in my town or it didn't work at my gym.
You don't know my gym.
Yeah. And now I look back on it and I realize, we had a very detailed set of operating procedures, standard operating procedures, SOPs. And those procedures listed out exactly what we were going to do every day, every week, every month, and we just kept doing them. We didn't change them. Where these owners that said it wasn't working in their town, they would do something for a week or maybe a little bit longer, and then they would switch it up after just a very short period of time. They never, ever did that boring shit long enough to actually see how it worked. We just did it for 5 years.
I have to interrupt. It was when they would ask what we're doing, we'd share, and they're like, oh yeah, I did that for 3 months. I'm like, give it 9. Well, I don't have that kind of time. Well, then you shouldn't be in business.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was just the boring stuff. We never did anything fancy. Yeah. I want to share a couple examples. First one is boot camps. When we wanted to get, we were at 0, so we had no boot camps. So how did we start? We would start with just Jen and I together in a class as clients and one coach. And we would work out. And members started seeing the two owners working out and doing this boot camp style of workout, and they got interested. And then all of a sudden, one person would join our boot camp, and now there was 3. Now another one would join. It's 4. We get 5, 6, 7, 8. And then Jen and I would literally just leave that boot camp, and we would start a new time 30 minutes later. And we would fill that one up. And we just kept going until we were full of boot camps. It was simple. It was easy. We just kept running that play over and over and over.
And it still works to this day.
Yeah,
we still run that play.
Yeah. Another one is our gym tour. It's the exact same no matter who's walking in the door. Now, obviously, you custom tailor it towards their goals, but it's the exact same thing. And yeah, thousands and thousands and thousands of tours that we've done, all done the exact same way. The same boring way to win.
100%. Just repeat. Lather, rinse, repeat.
Yeah.
So I want to transition over to the nutrition and the fitness side of things.
Yes.
Obviously, because that's what I like to talk about.
Well, this is what's, I think people will be able to relate really quickly as you go through this.
Oh, 100%. And you might find parallels of yourself as I'm describing this. So the human mind is an absolute trip when it comes to this. It does so much to protect us or go the path of least resistance, right? It's going to pick the safest path. It is literally here to protect us from getting hurt. Like at our mind's core, it is for those basic needs, right? And if you're not careful, this is what leads into the Groundhog Day thing of doing the same things over and over and over, right? Having the same experiences over and over and over. Things that we caution about.
Yeah.
But, big but, an important point here. I'm talking about the same things that don't help you excel because your brain is taking the path of least resistance. And think about this. When it comes to food, for some reason we think we need variety. It is crazy how ass backwards our mind works in these cases. When you're thinking about sitting like meal planning for the week, we have to do something different every night. Well, do you eat the same thing for breakfast every day? I do.
Yeah.
Pretty much. I guarantee most of you do. So why are we making this like romance out of having to eat different things every single night? Like the business example. The basic fundamentals will never change. Nutrition is not hard. People just try to make it hard. They think they need to spice it up or it's weird. Like, I must have something different every single night. Cool. You're going to spend a little extra time. But it's still doable. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't have variety because you should. But think about this. If you're going to your favorite restaurant or a variety of restaurants every night, do you kind of sort of always order the same thing? I know I do. I joke about my ADHD hyperfixation meals. Like, this is the meal I'm going to eat for this meal for the next 6 months until I hate it and can't eat it anymore. You can't eat chicken and broccoli every day. I get that. That leads to burnout and then the roller coaster of weight loss. You should have some variety. However, you have the standard operating procedures, like Matt said. You have a protein goal, you have a fat goal, you have a carb goal. You hit those daily. Now, when you're on the seasonal approach, like we talk about, and we'll probably cover it again here soon, that seasonal approach is our holy grail. Those protein, carb, and fat goals will change based on where you're at in your plan. When you're in a muscle building season, they go way up. Your food options go way up, which gives you a lot of variety. We are getting ready to enter that season November 1st. I'm freaking excited for that because that's French dip season, baby. Bring it on. But right now, we're not, right? And maybe, if you're in a maintenance mode or if you're in a reverse, things are still pretty free and loose, right? But here's where people make it so hard. And here is, in fact, why so many people fail, the fat loss phase. When you are in a fat loss phase, those macros get tight. And I'm not saying we're going to starve, but you need to make some early decisions on, because I always tell my people, tighten it up. You can still have that variety, but you're going to have to get pretty tight on some things, right? You're going to have to adjust some food options. French dips probably aren't going to be on the menu. Barbecue chicken might. So it still doesn't have to suck, but your food options do slim. The part where everyone fails is that they think they're going to have to do that for the rest of their life, and they don't understand nutrition. So they give up. Or they don't enter that maintenance phase after the fat loss phase, and they don't understand how to balance it, so they gain all this fat back, right? Like, when we're going into a bulking season, we don't just open the floodgates and eat like complete assholes.
No.
We still hit our macros, but it's strategic. It has a purpose. Where people fail is they give up. or they don't do the boring shit long enough to win. As an example, let me walk you through a pretty standard client plan. With the rapid fat loss phase, it's about 8 to 12 weeks of pretty tight macros. Restricted? No. Cutting food groups out? Absolutely not. But we're tight and we're accurate. I like accurate better than the word tight.
Yeah, you're saying that, hey, you're not going to be eating dessert. You're going to be eating. I can't ever remember how to do that.
When you're like, tighten it up.
Tighten it up. Tight.
You don't click. You make a weird.
Yeah. I can't do it on command. But basically what you're saying is we are going to tighten up our food. We're not going to be having desserts. We're probably not going to be having drinks. We're tightening things up for that 8 to 12 weeks, 10 to 12 weeks. Okay.
Getting toit like a toiga. Anything more than that, anything more restrictive than that leads to burnout, and you will mess up your metabolism. You will fall off the wagon and you'll put 10 pounds back on. Does this sound familiar? Guys, this is not hard, but you have to have a plan and you have to execute. After the fat loss phase, they go into a maintenance period where we loosen up the macros a little bit, open up some food choices, but they still lose weight because we've ramped up their metabolism just enough. It's not balls to the wall. They're still hitting their workouts, their step goal, their water, but it's purposeful. And then finally, we go into a muscle building phase, that bulking phase, that build, where they have some pretty open food options to be able to put on muscle. We typically do this around the holidays so that people have flexibility knowing we're going to eat. We're going to eat around the holidays. Nobody wants to be on a diet in December. That sucks. And so we plan it that way. Here's the exciting part. When you lean into this seasonal approach, when summer rolls around, we do a fat loss phase again. But here's the kicker. It is maybe 4 to 6 weeks. I cannot stress how freeing this approach is. Why? Because we've completely changed their metabolic makeup, and already the excess fat has been removed. And what we put on in bulking or creating that extra lean muscle just helps burn that fat. All that does is just leave this like toned body. My point is here that most people will fail because they think they have to be in a fat loss phase for the rest of their life. I never want that. My clients that have had the same goal for a year, I strategically place some buffers in. Why? Because I don't want them to fall off the wagon. I want them to know we're going to take a 3-week break on macros. Here's the targets I want you to hit, and then we go right back in. The reason people fail thinking that they have to be in a fat loss phase for the rest of their life, because they never got a good foundation underneath them. Business is the exact same way. Like, do you remember that first year we were in business? How many fundamental mistakes did I make?
We made a lot.
And then I finally had a mentor say, just run the play we're teaching you. It doesn't have to be sexy. You have to do the boring shit for the right amount of time to build the foundation that you can work with, that you can build upon.
Yeah, and I want to try and bridge those things together and close the podcast up. You know, you mentioned just a couple quick things off the top of my head. You mentioned that second fat loss phase is so much easier because it's 4 to 6 weeks rather than 10 to 12 weeks, and you explain why. But where that makes sense is if you go back to what I was saying about the business world is after 5 years of running that play, I said we started winning, and if you go back and rewind, you'll say, and I said things got easy. It's because you built that foundation, like Jen just said. In business, you built that foundation so things become easier. The things that were harder on day one are much easier, and your body is reacting the same way. It clicks and it goes much faster. But what I really want to leave you guys with is we titled this podcast that winners don't get bored, which is true. But what winners do is they find the right tactics, the right SOPs, the right procedures, and then they do them over and over and over. And they never ever stop.
I love that. Guys, it's another short one this week. I love the knowledge you dropped at the very end. Yeah. Boring is beautiful. There's something beautiful about those basic procedures day in, day out, your every damn days, right? What are your every damn day non-negotiables? I hope you guys found value in today's episode. If you did, share it with someone you think will find value. Share it in your Instagram stories. Tag us. Give us a 5-star review. Subscribe on YouTube. Do all the things, if you don't mind. That's how we keep growing this thing, being able to share our message. And as always, y'all, we'll talk to you next time.